Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. We'd like to start with a roll call, please.
Council President Perez.
Here.
Councilmember Van.
Here.
Councilmember Benedetti.
Here.
Councilmember O'Halloran.
Here.
Councilmember McIrvin.
Here.
Councilmember Prince.
Here.
Councilmember Corman.
Here.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, all present.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Okay, first up, we have a special King County presentation from King County Councilmember Reagan Dunn. Reagan, good to see you.
Mr. Mayor, great to see you. Glad things are going well in Renton. It's an unusual time, as we all know, and this is actually my ninth State of the County presentation to the city councils in my district, and all but one of them have been remote like this. I got one in before COVID started at the beginning of the year, but I've got a brief presentation. It lends itself to a PowerPoint, and then Mr. Mayor and Council President Perez, if you're so inclined, I'm happy to take any questions that you might have. Let's go to the first slide. I'm going to give you a quick update on what's happening globally with the COVID pandemic. Next slide. Hey, you know, when we started this, we did not have a lot of information to go by to guide us in these decisions. Obviously, we were getting a lot of mixed messages from the federal government. What I'm showing you here is the Spanish flu from the 1918 flu pandemic. It's data I was able to get from National Geographic, and it shows that we had a couple of different waves or spikes in the infection curve in Seattle and also Spokane. In fact, Spokane, their second wave was higher than their first wave. And obviously what we're trying to do is lower or flatten that curve so that we don't have a rush to emergency rooms. We're able to spread out the infection rate amongst people that would get it, so the most critically sick are able to be cared for. Let me go to the next. One more point on this. So you'll see that the black is the deaths per 100,000, but the gray, or maybe it'll appear on your monitor as a brown or beige box there from 1918. Those are durations of social distancing measures. So they did very similar things. They had intense social distancing, and then they laid off that social distancing, and it reemerged in both cases. Pretty similar to what we're seeing across the United States. Let's go to the next slide. And this is today. This is COVID-19. You'll see that blue or infection curve is very similar in many ways to what we saw 100 years ago. And I want to draw your attention to the end of the blue data there, where it looks like there's a possibility we may be going into a third event. There were a number of communities across the country in 1918 that had a third wave of Spanish flu. The one difference is you'll see on the red curve, that's our deaths as a result of COVID. We've done a lot better job of being able to treat this for a variety of different reasons. We got better at it. We're able to spread out the infection curve. And so those are some of the basic challenges we have. We're seeing in the northern European countries like Germany record cases right now over just the last several days. They are a little bit higher in latitude in terms of being farther north than we are. So there is a distinct possibility we could see what folks have worried about, which is that fall flu season exacerbating the cases of COVID-19. Next slide, please. I want to show you how that dovetailed with the economic situation in the state, in the county. You'll see we had record employment before the pandemic hit, and then literally within a period of a week or two, we had depression era or depression level unemployment, and we are at historic or near historic highs still. We're about 3 or 4 times higher than where we might normally be under, depending on what sector you're looking at. So we're still not out of the woods from an economic aspect of this, by any stretch of the imagination. So we're still going through it. Still a great deal of uncertainty. Next slide, please. Some of the legislation I've been working on, been very, very focused on this pandemic for lots of different reasons. Principally that really the rubber meets the road with the local and state responses to public health crisis like this. The federal government has a role, but 95% of governments across the country are local or state, and we're the ones that are charged with handling this. Did a lot of stuff. Project CARE, which is our coronavirus action response enlistment, tapped into the spirit of volunteerism. Promoted a payment plan for property tax bills, because when people lose their jobs, we know about the last thing they're worried about is paying their property taxes on time if they're just trying to put food on the table. We were updating our countywide pandemic response plans and partnering with UW to study how effective our responses have been at the local level. And some initial indications are we've done quite a good job compared to similarly sized cities and counties. So feeling like we're doing okay on that front compared, our high cases were about 1,100 compared to 10 times that in some of the cities across the country and states across the country that were similar size. Doing things to try and shrink our expenditures, like hiring freezes, focusing on a task force to plan for economic recovery. For example, one of the things you did, looking at the possibility of a vaccination manufacturing facility in your community is the kind of thing we're working on, and working with the county executive on this broad-based effort to try and get us to be one of the first communities in America to come out of the pandemic. Doing some other things related to privacy laws and these Zoom bombs we're seeing, and been working hard to make sure restaurants have the flexibility they need to move outside. So that's some of the stuff I've been working on. Next slide, please. Talk briefly about the county budget. As you know, we budget for a biennial budget, so every 2 years we are looking at about $100 million decrease to the general fund. Our sales tax growth is down, even with the updated forecast. $10 million reduction in the mental illness and drug dependency fund at a time when we're seeing more and more people suffering from alcoholism and addiction. Massive challenges for Metro, with huge decreases in ridership. Lodging, rental tax, and REIT's okay, but lodging and rental taxes are way down. We are seeing, the good news is, unlike the recession or the Great Recession of 2008, 9, 10, that was driven by real estate, really the bursting of that bubble, we are doing pretty well on the valuation side of things, which is good. That can help us in a lot of different ways. So assessed valuations remain relatively flat. Next slide. Big issues to watch. We are currently working as a council on the about $11.5 billion biennial budget right now. There is an ask to spend about $4.2 million of the rainy day to purchase hotel rooms. We know that is a sensitive issue in Renton, and I've been talking with your leadership on a regular basis about those subjects. There was a vote, a councilmatic vote, I guess it was Tuesday now, that passed 8-1, that would raise the sales tax in countywide in places that hadn't already done it, to generate a substantial amount of money for permanent housing for the chronically homeless, which is 30% or less of the income. So that's happened. We could talk a little bit more about that and what Renton's chosen to do on that. Big cut to the sheriff's office budget. We're looking at about 40 deputies that'll be cut, and that's in addition to about 118 officers in Seattle that have been cut. So there's going to be a dramatic reduction in the law enforcement presence in and around King County. Next slide. We talked a little bit about the 1/10 sales tax for permanent housing. Some of these cities that have opted out and acted on their own tax increases, you'll recognize some cities there, including your own. Next slide. So we are our general committee structure is standing down now, and we are full-fledged in the budget process. Because we only do it every other year now, we're very heavily involved. There's a couple different moving parts. One is our biennial budget, which is got some big challenges as we look at the revenue forecast. But we've also got about $70 million remaining in CARES Act funding from the federal government that we need to appropriate and really spend, or at least begin spending, by the 31st of December. And so this is really important. And we've reached out to the mayor's office, and I'd also ask council members to consider, are there expenses rationally related to COVID that we can get in there? I am on the budget leadership team for the supplemental. I'd like to be able to help Renton out. It's a good opportunity to sort of fund forward some of the projects that we might see cut as a result of our general budget reductions because of the revenue forecast. So please get back to me on things that are close to your hearts that you think might make a difference, that have seen challenges as a result of COVID. There's pretty broad flexibility in what we can use that money for. So next slide. So a lot going on there. I just felt the need. I really wanted to check in with you. A lot happening in the criminal justice front, as we're all aware of. COVID is, still with us. Doesn't seem to be moving very quickly away. We've got supplemental issues as well. We've got a whole great big election. And a lot of challenges right now. But I just want to say this before we take any questions. But every generation of Americans has had a really, has found a way to fight through tough times, whether it's a Great Depression or a World War or, any host of other pandemics. And we found a way to make it through. We'll make it through this one as well. The goal here is to find a way to survive it in a positive manner, and a way that we grow from, and a way that we learn lessons so we don't have to go through it again. That's one of the reasons why I put a lot of emphasis into studying what we've done, so that we can leave information for the next time a pandemic happens. Might be our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, God forbid anytime soon, but it could be 20 years, could be 100 years, so that they can learn from our experience, because the information we had from the pandemic of 1918 was really, really thin. We didn't have a lot to go by. We spent a lot of time guessing as we were moving forward. Anyway, that's what I have for the update. I don't want to belabor it, and if Mayor Pavone or Council President Perez are so inclined, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, council member. Do we have any questions for Reagan here?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Holland.
Hi, this is Councilmember O'Halloran. How are you? Thank you for being here.
Thank you,
I'm wondering, can you give us some broad stroke examples of the types of things that the $70 million could be allocated for?
Yeah, so all of the jurisdictions in the state that had 500,000 people or more were given something like $280 million from CARES Act. That was that $3 trillion that was coming out of Congress. There may, in fact, be more coming from the federal government, but I can get you the specific methodology. But if it's rationally related to an expense at a local level that is helping deal with the COVID pandemic, it could be anything from, obviously, public health supplies to nonprofit organizations that are filling in ways to help out. It's quite broad, and so it just needs to be rationally related to COVID. And if there is an organization or a group of organizations, nonprofits, government, local governments, special purpose districts, people that could use some help in funding, let us know. It's relatively easy for me to slip in an appropriation, 25,000, 50,000, something like that, to get that in before the end of the year. And so it's important to me to, it's one of these things, council member, if you don't ask, you don't get. So let's just try and get as much out there, because if it's not, I'm worried about the possibility that we don't get it all out the door. to be honest with you. So let's get it out where it can do the most good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you very much. Oh, we have more. Council President Perez.
Sorry, I'm gonna yell first to Councilmember Van because I saw that she raised her hand before me.
Oh, did I? I was going to yield to you. Thank you, Council President. And thank you, Councilmember Dunn, for being here. I very much appreciate your presentation and update. I do have a question, and as you mentioned, what's close to our hearts for me is racial equity. And I appreciate King County's leadership on declaring that racism is public health. But I don't recall in your presentation that you mentioned some of the programs, activities that is currently being held or hosted through King County. Is there any works or projects that are being done after the declaration?
Yeah, Del Constantine declared that that racism was a public health crisis. Councilmember, you should know that I didn't vote in favor of that, not because I don't think racism is a huge public crisis. I don't think it's a public health crisis, and I don't want that to be confused with something like the pandemic, where we're losing anywhere from 6 to 20 people dying every day. So there is a difference there, but there is a whole series of programs that are being put forward right now. Our racial equity programs that everything from new employee recruitment and orientation to a whole series of grant programs to historically underrepresented groups that we are moving forward to really try and help make sure that that we are evening the scales and balancing the scales and being sensitive to the historical biases that have existed there. So it's with respect to the public health crisis, it was really more of a declaration to make a point. How that dovetails into our public health clinics is a little bit unclear at this point in time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council President Perez.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Dunn. I have a couple of questions. One is I appreciate how vocal and transparent and honest you have been regarding some of the latest proposals of the county regarding the response to the pandemic, and how much you have been very honest about that your job is to protect not just the region, but also the cities that you represent, as well as unincorporated King County. In that tone, I heard your meeting last Tuesday that a lot of you were, specifically Councilmember Dombrowski and you were mentioning about the lack of trust that local entities now are having with King County. And I want to make sure and make very clear that the lack of trust within the cities, and especially within our communities, is not about the representation, meaning you, or in the case of Renton, you, or Councilmember of the Grove, but the lack of trust is regarding King County. What is the county thinking to do to strengthen the relationship with us? And I heard also on the meeting with the Bellevue Council that Leo Flor when he was making a presentation, he was agreeing that maybe they should work closer to the cities and also closer with you, council members, to make sure that everybody is in the table agreeing with the decisions that are made by the executive. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, Council President Perez, you bring up a really important set of issues. I mean, homelessness, maybe before perhaps the pandemic began, it was, I think, probably the most significant regional issue of our generation. It continues to be a very, very serious issue, and we have according to the Seattle Times anyway, if not the highest, among the highest homeless population per capita of any city in the United States. And it's for real. There are a lot of underlying reasons for it. We know that minority groups and historically underrepresented groups are higher disproportionately represented in the homeless population is serious stuff. We need to take it seriously. And so all of us got together, I think, the suburban cities and the city of Seattle and King County, and we created this first ever King County Regional Homeless Governance Authority. And we put, Dow Constant's on it, Jenny Durkin's on it, Ed Prince is on it, and we are working, I think, slowly but methodically towards a series of I think, proposals, best practices, data-driven strategies from across the country that have, or around the world, that have proven to help reduce homelessness. And so we're putting that here, and then all of a sudden, Dow comes out with the sales tax increase, which is his prerogative. It's councilmatic authority, but it's his prerogative, and it was done in 2 weeks. So it was rolled out and it was voted on, and it didn't give the cities any time to responsibly react. That's one problem. And it didn't, for me, clearly delineate how we were going to interface the Regional Homeless Authority with the dollars. Now, I am here to tell you, I can support revenue increases for homelessness if they're based on best strategies, best tactics, if we build in some accountability, some measurement, all that stuff. It happens so fast. But as I told your mayor and others, I probably would have voted, if I were a Renton city council member, I would probably have voted to go ahead and move forward on that because it gives you broader control. And I'm not seeing the trust that's going on with King County is just not there. It's just not there. And I don't like what I'm seeing. And what I am seeing of it is the same old stuff we've been doing. And some of that might work, but when you start talking about the highest homeless population per capita in any city in the United States, clearly those constellation of policies taken together aren't working right. So that's why this Regional Homeless Authority exists out there. Anyway, the money's going to come together there. I hope we can sort of backfill the best practices and get to the bottom of it. It's a serious issue, and it could be dramatically amplified as a result of the unemployment and economic downturn from this pandemic. So I'm focused like a laser on it. Ed is doing a terrific job there. It's chaired a meeting the other day. I did a nice job with that. So we haven't had a chance to talk, Ed, but we're going to do that, and we'll keep this fight as long as it's truly regional and the dollars are spent responsibly.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to question?
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Corman.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Councilmember Dunn, for being here. I always enjoy your presentations, and I appreciate the work you do for us throughout the year. I'm just going to pick up on the struggle with homelessness again, and this is maybe partly a question, partly just I just wanted to have a conversation, and I suspect Mayor Pavone's probably briefed you on a lot of this, but Renton has something I've been very proud of, and as you know, I've been on the Renton City Council. I'm getting close to 3 decades now, but we have really tried to stay in front of the homeless problem as much as we can here. I like to brag about the fact that our housing authority, which is 80 years old, has 1,000 subsidized units that it makes available for as little as $100 a month to families that need them. So it's always been our approach, and continues to be our approach, to try and keep people from ever ending up in a tent on the sidewalk to begin with. If they get evicted, they could historically go to the Renton Housing Authority and hopefully find housing that they can afford. Anyways, in continuing to keep that up, we are doing some things in Renton that I think are ahead of the curve. We're currently really working on trying to promote more accessory dwelling units. And I know Seattle and King County have both worked on codes for accessory dwelling units. I'm not sure if you're aware that we're actually paying to have architects design accessory dwelling units that would be ready to go, that will have automatic approval. So if somebody in a home in Renton wants to build an accessory dwelling unit, they don't have to pay for a design. We will make these available for free. They don't have to wait for it to be approved. They can just take the design and use it and build it, and it's going to be approved. We're also working on, and we think we can get hundreds of additional housing units, low-cost housing units that help with a lot of the people that are kind of on the fringes. You know, maybe the son that's having a hard time, that's grown but having a hard time affording a home for himself or his family, could get one of these ADUs, for instance. We're also very aggressively working on a plan to do transit-oriented development. And, you know, I'm talking about, I think, ultimately thousands of units down there, coincidentally, next to where the Red Lion is currently. So we've got a lot of land, probably a much larger amount of available land than you'll find anywhere that close to Seattle. And of course, the new transit center that you're helping us with, that the county's helping us with, going in place. So we think we can put in thousands of new low-cost units that are available through a quick transit ride to Seattle and elsewhere. And then lastly, I wanted to point out that because our housing authority has so much land that they've been purchasing and plans they've been making, I mean, they've got shovel-ready projects that just lack funding, and the 0.1% sales tax that we just implemented. We haven't decided as a council where that money's going to go, but certainly my bias is to send a lot of it the way of the Renton Housing Authority so they can continue to add to their inventory. And so I just wanted to share this with you because, you know, sometimes homelessness just looks so hopeless, but we're really working hard to get in front of it, to make these units available that people can afford to live in so that they don't have to spend any time living in a car or on the sidewalk. And I'm proud of that.
Yeah, and you should be, council member. I was just the other day, I was up at Sunset up there in the Highlands, and to kind of take a look at some of those lower to mid income housing with the housing authority, including some of the that are self-sustaining in terms of their energy conservation with solar on top. I don't know if you've seen those. I really continue to be impressed with the Renton Housing Authority. It's one of my favorites in the county, and you all should be proud of that.
Well,
so
thank you.
Yeah, and they have the infrastructure. They've got experience. They know what they're doing. And you know, I suppose if I had one more, if I had it my way, not only would I be focusing on the 0 to 30 income, but also those folks that are about to slip through the cracks, because we just don't know where the pandemic is going to go. And so, but that's not my policy call. That's your policy call. My job is to help make you enact the policies you want. Your mayor's been very forceful, very good advocate in what he likes to see in terms of Red Lion and the county keeping its word on what it's supposed to do and being transparent. So you guys are doing great for a city, very good for a city. I continue to enjoy working with you. And Councilmember Upgriff and I speak regularly on how we can best support your interests. But I think it was, quite frankly, wise, the move that you chose to make. We were, I mean, the county knew exactly what it was doing. It's going as fast as it could so that it could gobble up the tax dollars before the cities got to it, and you guys were on the ball, which is good. So I look forward to working with you, however that shakes out.
Thank you so much again for that support and all your support through the years.
Councilmember Prince.
Yes, Councilmember Dunn, it is so good to see you, and I've enjoyed being on the Homeless Authority with you. Earlier, you mentioned an issue of lack of trust. From your perspective, what can we do to regain that, repair that trust relationship with the county? I mean, that is vitally important for us.
Boy, that's a $64 million question, council member. You know, it's going to take some work. I mean, we were told that the Red Line was a short-term deal, and all of a sudden it's become the model for, you know, everything we're doing. I mean, there's communities across the the county that are very worried about what's going to happen to their, their hotel stock and their inventory stock. We just need to do what we say what you mean what you say, be clear with our local partners. I mean, if the suburbs decided to bail out of the Regional Homeless Governance Authority, could blow it up. I mean, we all have to work together. We all are going to have to, it's the old-fashioned sort of statesmanship stuff. We have got to find a way to rise above the petty politics, our own narrow provincial and district interests, if we're going to solve this problem. And it's a big one, and it's just been the problem's been put on steroids as a result of a pandemic that has the potential to really, I hope it just goes away. That would be really nice in the next few months, but it has the potential to leave us wrecked depending on where we go moving forward. So, Councilmember Prince, I'm with you. Let's continue to try and build trust between your government and mine, and see if we can't set some protocols in place so expectations are clear moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, as always, appreciate your attendance and coming in and giving your time and updating us on the county. So thank you very much, and hope to see you back again soon.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, council members. Have a good meeting. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay, next up we have another special presentation. This one is kind of exciting. We have been designated as an age-friendly city by AARP, and here to announce who's going to receive it is Mary Jane Van Cleef. Hi, Mary Jane.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Make me feel like a winner. I feel like I just won something. Thank you, sir. Council President Perez and council members, I'm here to introduce Mr. Doug Shadle with the AARP. He is the Washington State Director, and we are very pleased and honored to receive this designation. I'd like to say thank you to council for your continued support. As Councilmember Dunn has said, we are in an unprecedented time, and we just want to make sure we still are prioritizing and focusing on the things that you have set forth and the mayor. And so we feel will continue to put us on the right track. This will be our age-friendly initiative, and we will continue to prioritize our seniors in our community. So I'm going to hand it over to Doug quickly, and then we will let you proceed with your meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I just would like to congratulate all of you for being designated as an AARP age-friendly community. There are only 3 other communities in the state of Washington that have this designation. And given all of the challenges I've just heard you facing with COVID and other things, it's remarkable that you're willing to take on this task of building your city so that it's age-friendly for people of all ages. By joining, the city of Renton joins a global network of forward-thinking leaders, and there are resources to be drawn from that global network in the way of information and other resources and best practices from other places around the country, around the world, really, that have done this kind of work or made this kind of commitment. I understand that Renton has already done a number of things, like created a senior task force to evaluate your city's programs, applied for and received community challenge grants to demonstrate pop-up parklets. And you just know that you have our support. I'm the state director for AARP Washington. Our offices are just down the road in SeaTac, and we are here and available to help you as you pursue this project. So on this day, Monday, October 19th, we're honored to present Mayor Pavoni and the city of Renton with a certificate of recognition as Washington State's newest community, committed to creating a community where people can thrive through all the stages of life. And as I said, congratulations to the mayor, city council for making this commitment. And we would like to be partners with you as you proceed. I appreciate you giving us the time to do this presentation. There it is.
Yay.
Congratulations.
Awesome.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. We appreciate you you joining us. And I would be remiss not to bring it up, but we have a council member that's no longer with us, retired last year, that really paved the way for this council, and we followed in his footsteps. His name is Don Person, and he has been an advocate for the senior community for as long as I can imagine. It was a real passion of his to make sure that as a city we took care of the important people in our world, which is our seniors. So anyway, big shout out to Don Person, because I think he deserves a big part of that award. So
Excellent.
yeah, and thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay, and now we're on to business. First up, we have a public hearing, a street vacation petition, and we have Amanda Askren to present.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Council President, and Council members. My name is Amanda Askren. I'm in the Community Economic Department in the planning section. Tonight we are having a public hearing to discuss a street vacation. This is probably the first for a few of you. We haven't done one of these in about 4 years. So I'm just going to go through what it looks like, and we can get to the steps at the end so we're all aware. All right. So the petition is located at the CITC building, also known as the old Bryant building, the Bryant Motors, across the street from Liberty Park in the city center area. Next slide. The petition was received in July. More than 2/3 of the owners are involved in it. The vacation is really for a 1-foot strip of alleyway that was dedicated in 1907. And this is part of a proposed and active land development. Next slide, please. Thank you. During the land use process, the land survey showed that the building was located 1 foot within the existing alleyway. So we have asked the alleyway to be basically relocated 1 foot over to maintain a 16-foot strip, which I have shown on the next slide. And pretty pictures. So the red is the vacation part, and the blue is what we've asked for a dedication to maintain that 16-foot alleyway as part of the redevelopment of this area. Next slide. So for street vacations, we circulate them through various departments and also our outside agencies for any comments. There were no objections raised during this vacation, and we did receive comments back from everyone that they're okay with it. There are existing city utilities, but they are outside of this 1-foot vacation and are part of the redevelopment. Next slide. Thank you. So the staff recommendation is that we approve the dedication for the 1-foot side to maintain the 16-foot alleyway, and also that we would ask for an appraisal so we know the amount for the 1-foot for the next steps of the street vacation process. The next steps for the street vacation are tonight we're having the public hearing and the public testimony. After this, the council can either approve with conditions or deny the vacation petition. And then if it is approved, we will get they'll be required to get an appraisal, and then we will review that and then come back to the council to set compensation and to move forward in the process. And that is it.
Okay, thank you. This is a public hearing. Do we have anybody signed up to comment?
For the record, Mr. Mayor, my name is Julia Medzigian. I'm the City Council Liaison. I have 3 people signed up in advance to speak. When I call your name, I will unmute you, and you will have up to 5 minutes to address the council. The first on the list is Patrick Hansen Lund. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you very much, Mayor and Council. We had submitted a request to reserve time to make public comments. Amanda has presented the vacation as it was submitted with our petition. So I will actually not have any further comments at this time.
Okay, the next on the list is Tim Rhodes. Go ahead, Mr. Rhodes.
Hi, thank you. I'm the architect of record for this project, and I don't think I have any further comments as well. I'll say that CITC is a not-for-profit construction apprenticeship training program that I think the city of Renton has been very excited about having. And point out that the alley is basically being moved, and we are dedicating the same amount of land to the city of Renton as is being vacated for this movement. Thanks for all your time considering this.
Okay, I did have one other person signed up to speak, Stephen Wakefield. I don't see Mr. Wakefield. If you're in the audience, could you raise your hand? Okay. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the council regarding the 1300 Brunson Way North public hearing? If so, please raise your hand via computer. If you're on the phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9. I see no one else, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Julia. Jason, do we have any correspondence?
I have no I have no correspondence regarding this matter, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Council. Yes, Councilmember Corman.
I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
Been moved by Councilmember Corman, seconded by Councilmember McGurven that we close the public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, nay.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I move that the council approve the request to vacate subject to the following conditions. Dedication of 1 foot on each side to maintain 16 feet of alleyway, and that the petitioner provide an appraisal of the 1 foot vacation.
Second.
Okay, it's been approved by Councilmember Corman, seconded by Councilmember McGurven that the council approve the vacation pending the I don't remember exactly what you said there. The vacation of the 1 foot, the appraisal, and
that was it. Those 2 items. Yep.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Okay, motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, yes, Attorney Bayer.
I'm just making sure this does come back with an ordinance of vacation, correct? So this is just authorizing the staff to prepare the ordinance and bring that back to council.
Yes, this is the first step, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll leave now again.
Thank you. Thank you, Amanda.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, next up we have 2021 CDBG allocations and David Bouchette.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. Tonight's public hearing is regarding the 2021 allocation of Community Development Block Grant funds in the amount of $713,229. The City of Renton receives an annual allotment of the Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, funds from King County. Beginning in 2015, the city allocated discretionary CDBG funds to be used for economic development and related activities. The proposed 2021 funding plan highlights activities staff recommends to use the funds for. This includes funding the Housing Stability Program, the Housing Repair Program, and the Public Facilities Improvement Program. The purpose of the Public Facilities and Improvement Program is to improve pedestrian safety, enhance the streetscape, and serve as an economic development catalyst for underdeveloped portions of the city. The 2021 Public Facilities and Improvement Program will be used to continue to augment the conversion projects in the downtown. These funds will complete the next design and engineering phase of the Downtown Streetscape Improvement Project. Prior years' CDBG funding was used to hire an engineering firm to create a multi-phase streetscape improvement project. As a result of that work, phase 1 of the multi-phase streetscape will be completed in the coming months. Proceeding to the next phase of the project is the next step in seeing the Downtown Civic Core Plan brought to life. Any increase or decrease in entitlement will go to or come from the downtown streetscape improvements. If the downtown streetscape improvements aren't under contract by December 31st of 2021,
the funds will be reallocated to the Healthy Housing Program. In addition, any program income will also be allocated to the Healthy Housing Program. Following the public hearing and consideration for public comment, staff is recommending council approve the 2021 Community Development Block Grant Fund as presented. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, David. This is a public hearing. Do we have anyone signed up to comment?
For the record, Mr. Mayor, my name is Julia Medzigian. I am the City Council Liaison. I have no one signed up in advance to speak. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak regarding the 2021 Community Development Block Grant allocations? If so, please raise your hand. If you're calling in, you can raise your hand by pressing *9. I see no one, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Jason, do we have any correspondence?
We have no correspondence on this matter, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. What's the wish of the council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Corman.
I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Corman, seconded by Councilmember O'Halloran that we close the public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay.
Mr. Mayor,
Motion carries. Yes.
I move that council concur with the staff recommendation for the proposed allocation of the 2021 funding.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Corman, seconded by Councilmember McGurven that council concur with the staff recommendation for the 2021 CDBG funding. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, motion carries. All right, thank you, David. All right. Next up, we have administrative report.
I have two items, Mr. Mayor. The next virtual trivia night will be Tuesday, October 27th at 6:30 p.m. Join us for this month's trivia as we test your Halloween knowledge with tricks and trivia. The games are designed and hosted by Trivia Hub Live and consist of 3 rounds over 60 minutes. Contestants can play alone or as part of a team using a computer or mobile device. Prizes will be awarded. Participants will be placed in a waiting room until 6:30. For more information and registration, visit rentonwa.gov/trivia night. And secondly, the Public Works Department would like to remind residents to help us prevent local residential street flooding by monitoring catch basins near your home and keeping them clear of leaves and other debris. Street sweepers are dispatched daily to clean up debris along major arterials. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have audience comments.
Okay, next we'll open the remote audience comment period. It remains the strong intent of the city to have public comment regularly included on our agendas. Please refer your comments to the full council, and in so doing, we ask that you refrain from impugning the integrity of the members of this body. The city reserves the right to eliminate or end these public comment periods and/or remove anyone from the meeting at any point if we deem the system is being abused or is no longer suitable to allowing the city to conduct its necessary business. Each speaker will be given 5 minutes to speak. You'll be called upon by Julia Medzigian, Council Liaison. Ms. Medzigian will call the speaker's name and unmute the appropriate microphone, which will send an automatic prompt to the speaker if you have been unmuted. This is the speaker's cue that it is their turn to speak. Please begin your comments by stating your name, city of residence, and the topic you are addressing. Speakers should be able to see a timer on the screen. When your time is almost up, please wrap up your comments. Ms. Medzigian.
Thank you, Jason. For the record, my name is Julia Medzigian, City Council Liaison. I have no one signed up in advance to speak to council tonight. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council? If so, please raise your hand via computer. If you are on the phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9. I will unmute you and you can state your name and city of residence. You will have up to 5 minutes to address the council. First person I have is Nancy Quinn. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, City Council, for letting me speak with you this evening.
I'm sorry, I'm behind on my email, so you may have responded to my request from last week, and I haven't seen it. I would like to investigate the opportunity of shutting off Southeast 5th Street on the west end of our street. We have a significant traffic issue with speed, and this would actually resolve the entire issue. What's currently on the table is raised sidewalks. Apparently that's the most safe option for emergency vehicles. And I do have an adult family home next door to me, so we want to, of course, be considerate of their needs. I've lived here for 13 years, and we've looked at this a lot of ways. We were kind of hoping for a traffic circle that would slow people down, but honestly, closing Southeast 5th Street at that entrance would be the best option, and would also eliminate some potential issues coming off of the Maple Valley Highway, because that's a very dangerous turn, either coming out of our neighborhood or going into it. So, again, you may have answered this already I think somebody sent me to the Transportation Committee, but I'd love to have this looked at on a broader scale.
Okay, yes, I did receive your email, and I did reply to you last, I believe it was on Friday, and we forwarded it to staff. The department, the Public Works Department will be looking at it, and somebody from that department will be getting a hold of you and the members of your community, so.
Great. Okay, one other quick thing, if I may. I'm so happy tonight to have heard the presentation by, oh my gosh, King County Council Member Dunn about the Red Lion, because that was one of the other questions I had, was when are we getting our Red Lion back? As a citizen, I'm super frustrated that wasn't better communicated. Every time I drive by, the smell of marijuana is super frustrating. I work really hard to pay my property taxes and do the right thing, but it's been super frustrating not being able to use our parks through this COVID, and yet I'm paying for a ton of homeless people to live in our Red Lion, and it wasn't run by me. I know it wasn't run by you either. I've learned that since that all happened, but yeah, we want that back. I don't think that's a good use of our taxpayer dollars to be utilizing it in the way that it's being utilized. Thank you all so much for all your hard work. I can't even imagine what goes into what you do. So I'm genuflecting and just thanking you for all your hard work.
Hey, thank you, Nancy.
Okay, the next person I have with a raised hand is Winter Cashman. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say thanks to the county council for having the Red Lion. I found it to be such a useful facility, and all the health research that was done out of it, which has now led to this further action by the county. I feel it was unfortunate that our council representative here referenced the tax as gobbling it up for the county. I think that's rather unprofessional, just like things that were made before this meeting, which I won't comment because I don't want to, impugn this body. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the council? If so, please raise your hand. I see no one else, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
And Mr. Mayor, we have no correspondence tonight.
Okay. Thank you. Next up, we have the consent agenda. We have 4 items up for consideration.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Council President Perez.
I move that the council concur with the consent agenda as published.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved by Council President Perez, seconded by Council Member Corman, that the council concur with today's consent agenda. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Okay, motion carries. Next up is unfinished business. Council President Perez.
No finished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Van.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Benedetti.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember O'Halloran.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the Utilities Committee has 3 reports.
Okay, the first Utilities Committee report is regarding a Puget Sound Energy easement. The Utilities Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the easement with Puget Sound Energy and adjust the budget accordingly in order to accept $2,000 in compensation for this easement from Puget Sound Energy.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember O'Halloran.
I move that the council concur with the recommendation of the Utilities Committee and staff.
Seconded.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember O'Halloran, seconded by Councilmember Benedetti. The council concur with the Utility Committee report. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Okay, the next report is regarding a consultant agreement for the Burnett Avenue South and Williams Avenue South Water Quality Retrofit Project. The Utilities Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to execute the agreement with BHC Consultants LLC in the amount of $493,533 for the Burnett Avenue South and Williams Avenue South Water Quality Retrofit Project.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember O'Halloran.
I move that the council concur with the Utility Committee's report.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember O'Halloran, seconded by Councilmember Benedetti, that the council concur with the Utility Committee report. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Okay, the final report is regarding 2021 and 2022 utility revenue requirements, capital improvement program, and fees. The Utilities Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to 1, approve the proposed 2021 and 2022 revenue increase of 2% for each year for the water utility, wastewater utility, and surface water utility. 2, approve the proposed 2021 and 2022 revenue increase of 2% for each year for the solid waste utility residential and roll-off rates. 3, approve the proposed 2021 revenue decrease of 4% and the 2022 revenue increase of 0% for the solid waste commercial rate. 4, approve the deferral of the King County rate stabilization charge for 2021 and 2022 per wastewater account. And 5, final, approve the proposed 2021 and 2022 system development charges. The committee further recommends that ordinances be prepared to amend Chapter 1 garbage, Chapter 2 storm and surface water, Chapter 4 water, and Chapter 5 sewer of Title 8 Health and Sanitation of City Code and be presented for first reading.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember O'Halloran.
I move that the council concur with the recommendation of the Utilities Committee.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember O'Halloran, seconded by Councilmember Benedetti, that the council concur with the Utility Committee report. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Okay, motion carries.
And Mr. Mayor, I just want to point out that those ordinances will be on for first reading on November 2nd, I believe.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Next up, we have Councilmember McGurven.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Prince.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
And Councilmember Corman.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Legislation, we have one ordinance for first reading.
Okay, this ordinance is, I believe, the final docket 14 ordinance. It's a code cleanup. It was approved by the P&D committee on June 8, 2020. And please bear with me. It's long. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, cleaning up certain code provisions by amending subsections 4145B, 4145F1, 4145F2, 4145F7, 4160D, and 4170B1, section 4185, subsection 41110E, section 41180, subsections 41190D22, 41190F, 41190G1, 41190G2, 41190H1, 41190H2, and 41190H4, Section 41200, subsections 41220A, 41220D1, 41230C, 41240B1, 41240B2, 41220J, 4280A6, 4280A16, 4280A28, 42100B, 42100E4A, 42120A, and 4760D, Section 4910, subsections 4920D2, 4925D2, 4990F1, 4990F2, 4990F3, 49140C, 49150F2, 49150F4, 49180E, and 49220C, the definition of aquifer protection area, APA, in section 41110, subsections 9164D, 9164E, and 9168C of the Renton Municipal Code, providing for severability and establishing an effective date.
Mr. Mayor.
All right, Councilmember Corman.
I'm going to suggest we wait a week before we make the clerk read that again.
Thank
you. With that, I would move that this ordinance be placed on second and final reading at the next council meeting.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Corman, seconded by Councilmember Gervin, that the ordinance be placed on second and final reading at the next council meeting. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, motion carries. Very well done.
Give the man some oxygen.
Some water.
Right.
Okay, next up we have new business. Council President Perez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Monday, October 26, 2020, at 4:30, we will have the Committee of the Whole via video conference. We have one item on the agenda, is Budget Department presentation and council deliberations. And on Monday, October 26, 2020, at 7 p.m., we will have our City Council meeting via video conference. I said in the first one, I gave out another 20. I said 20, 20, 20.
Yes.
It's 2020. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is it.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Van.
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Councilmember Benedetti.
Yes, on October 26th, 2020, I'm not adding another 20 to that because it's been quite a year, Council President Perez. On October 26th, 2020, at 3:45 p.m., we will be having the meeting of the Public Safety Committee via video conference. The topic is emerging issues in public safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember O'Halloran.
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember McGurven.
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Prince.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, on Monday, October 26, 2020, at 1:45 p.m., the Finance Committee will be meeting via video conference. We have 3 items on the agenda: HMA health plan contract, vouchers, and emerging issues in finance. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Corman.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the Planning and Development Committee will also be meeting on October 26th at 2:30 p.m. via video conference. 4 items on that agenda: the rent and registration program update, housing needs assessment results, sewer availability letter, and emerging issues in CED. And that's all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. What is the wish of the council?
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Been moved by Councilmember Prince, seconded by Councilmember Corman, that we adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.